Good morning from Hawaii. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, and I'm going to be your host. And also, I'm involved in the African Tourism Board, and I will explain it. We're expecting a record audience today because we're also testing a new system. This is the first time we do this. We had a total of 504 people registered for the event on Zoom. I know not everyone will also be us, but we're offering options we never had before. You actually see this event now on live stream on every Facebook. And it's a new test. So the system is brand new. And if something happens, please take my word. We tried our best. We worked very hard on it. I wanted to first, before we start, in the background, thank my colleague Oleg. He's here in Honolulu, and he's helping us to admit people to this forum. Before we start, I wanted to recognize actually almost so many of I shouldn't recognize anyone and just start. Otherwise, we're going to have 10 minutes of recognition. But I see Alain, I see Taleb, I see Walter Menzebi, of course, my co-host Peter Tarlo, and everyone is here. So without further ado, let's start. The event will also be is recorded. So later on, we're going to put it on all our channels on livestream.travel and so forth. And so you can actually listen to it anytime you want. This is the African Tourism today. African Tourism Board today is celebrating its second birthday. And this should be a very easy announcement, but it's really not that easy. Here it's why. The African Tourism Board actually may have four, and maybe today is even the first birthday of the organization because we are growing. And I want to explain this a little bit. Earlier in 2018, my company, ETro News, most of you probably know. May I just ask anyone who's not speaking to mute yourself so we don't get the background noise? I try to do this, but it's hard to do it manually because we do have a lot of background noise. Now, I'm going to mute everyone again so we can start from scratch. Okay, so I think we're good now. So back in 2018, in the beginning, like mid-year 2018, my company, eTurbo News, registered a number of websites in order for an advertising and marketing project we had planned. And one of these websites was africantourismboard.com. There was no intention at the time to really start an African tourism board. It was a marketing exercise, and when people saw this, I guess it. Me trying to. Joyce, if you can please keep muted. Don't unmute yourself because that's where the background noise starts. Thank you very much. At this website, I got some important phone calls. One was from Carol. A substantial emerged. The initial help of the world travel market and initial and before we my friend and partner at the time with the International Coalition of Tourism Partners, Professor Jeffrey Lipman. We had Graham Cook, the president and founder of World Travel Awards, and we had a first sponsor. And this is, I have to say, a very special thank you because he's still one of our good friends and sponsor, very active, Tony Smith from the iFree Group in Hong Kong. Minister from Mauritius, from Sierra Leone, Seychelles, Cape Verde, Uganda, and also the former minister from Zimbabwe, attending the event and actually made some remarks. So this was very exciting for us because now from just an idea, the African Tourism Board converted into something really potential. And there was a lot of thinking at the time, a lot of phone calls back and forth. So we decided and made at the World Travel Market in London that we would have our official launch at the then upcoming travel market in Cape Town, what happened in April of 2019. In order to do this, calling us an African Tourism Board, we needed people on the ground. So I used the eTopa News database to find people, and people responded in huge numbers and with great interest. So it was very encouraging. We had, I think, initially members in almost 20 African countries that wanted to join when we put a call out for um, we had people like Arvind who's joining us from Zimbabwe, and we had people from all over Africa saying we want to do something. And in order to get ready in April, of course, we needed a true leadership, and so we put out a call for, but we didn't really have any money. The initial thought for this organization was to have a for-profit company that is doing marketing for Africa. And as more we got into this, really, and especially after we had a very successful first launch in Cape Town, it was decided to look at a different approach and really start an organization. In Cape Town, Alain and myself, I think, and Peter were in Cape Town, and we talked to Doris Werfel and asked Doris Werfel of a CEO. We met the first time Cuthbert, who was one of the most dedicated persons I've ever met, and he's on this call and is the chairman of the organization. And so it became, over the next few months, quite an active organization. We formed many committees. We tested a lot of things. Some approaches worked, other approaches didn't work. But most important, the organization was converted from an idea of a for-profit marketing company into a non-profit NGO. It was registered in South Africa. And finally, and now we're getting to the first birthday, in November of 2019, or December better, after the World Travel Market in London, the second one, the African Tourism Board was approved as an NGO, what of course changed everything. So we were able to officially move from Honolulu, Hawaii, and became truly African. And the organization formed into something what I believe is very important for not only at that time for the future of African Tourism Board, but the idea was always to give Africa a stand in the world to progress and become a major player in the travel and tourism industry. We had so many people that helped us, and there are so many people who donating their own time and their own dime, because no one gets actually paid for it to do all of this. And that has been, for me, the most encouraging thing to continue with this organization. Now, 2 years into this, and I think we should prepare for our last birthday, what would be the launch of a different African Tourism Board. And that is something I think we're now slowly getting ready to conform the African Tourism Board into a true NGO, where actually you, the members, people in this organization, make the decisions. And this is really my goal from the very beginning. I've said this in London. I've said this in Cape Town. The idea is to put the African Tourism Board as a truly African organization run by Africans. And in my mind, these should be people who live in Africa, who have the citizenship of an African country, run this organization. And then us outsiders, and outsiders, I name like people like Talib Rifai, Peter, myself, and the many others that helped us from all over the world. I hope we still have a role in the organization and an advisory capacity. There could even be an advisory executive board. It all needs to be discussed. And I think this is what we're selling, really 2 years of success of an organization, what was really started by accident. And I have to tell you, I'm very proud this is happening. I know we have growing pains, and every organization has this. But I wanted to first of all um, thank everyone who helped to shape the African Tourism Board to what it is. And I think Peter actually had a cake, so we can actually celebrate the second birthday. Now, in today's program, we're going to hear from a lot of people. We have a full list of speakers. Some and most people, unfortunately, we only can give you about 2 minutes, others a little bit more, because we simply don't have enough time. But we can always repeat these sessions. We're very good in getting the message out. And believe me, the African Tourism Board is only as good as you are. We're all a group of volunteers. No one so far gets paid. We're all hoping for the big money to come in from the European Union so we can pay our bills, but that hasn't happened. Right now, and COVID is the biggest challenge, not only for Africa, for everyone. And again, the African Tourism Board stood up. Dr. Talib Rifai and Peter came up with the idea of Project Hope. We have Project Hope, what is a discussion for Africa to deal with the COVID situation and the COVID crisis, a crisis that has been very successful. And we're going a step further out of Project Hope, something else. I expand the conversation actually to a global platform. And so we have Africa for Project Hope. We have Rebuilding on the global platform. And the third youngest kid in our group is the World Tourism Network, what is also a new organization we will officially launch on December 1 with the World Expo attached to it. And we want to invite everyone from Africa to exhibit at this World Expo we will be announcing shortly, complimentary, so forward. Now, I've said enough. This is really what I wanted to summarize. He's the chairman of the African Tourism Board, has been there since April 2009, our first birthday. And I know Cuthbert has been working day and night on this organization and is a true inspiration, I think, for so many people. Welcome, Cuthbert. I don't know.
Thank you so much again. Really appreciate. It's good to meet my mentor, Alex and Ange. It's really a pleasure and honor. Peter, Dr. Walter, and our patron, Dr. Taleb Rifai. And last but not last, Dr. Bijit Toa. We have come up with a very good concept, especially within the tourism sector, on how to motivate and enjoy ourselves. Dear friends and colleagues, at such a stormy time that requires a good sense and sobriety of judgment for all of us as we navigate through the choice, retrogress the gains and the progresses achieved in our endeavors in making tourism a weapon that should and must bring us all together as a global family. As I always say, it is the only economic sector that dismantles the borders of prejudice, segregation, superiority tendencies. Tourism is recognized as a major global economic sector, as is more evident given the impact of the COVID-19. It is a social and cultural phenomenon, as it is all about people, all about connectivity, about us coming together as goal players, whether we want it or not, dear friends. We are all part of the web of life. Therefore, it is very imperative for us to come together as we navigate through. We are all members of our multifaceted and integrated network of existence. As we pause for a minute, not that we have reached a cul-de-sac, but still on the stretch of the highway ahead of us, it is time to pause and appreciate where we're coming from as an organization, where we're coming from as colleagues. This
I think we're losing you, Cuthbert, a little bit.
along this pause will yeah, can you hear me again?
Now you're back, but you might want to repeat what you just said because I don't think anyone heard this.
Colleagues, this pause will then afford us to have a renewed perspective on the task ahead of us. We need to give a rebirth on the initial vision from our pioneers who gave birth to the African Tourism Board. And by the way, we need to take recognition because it is the right, noble, and civil thing to do. It is true indeed, as the saying goes, he who doesn't know his past cannot make the best of his present and future, and the past that we learn. As we celebrate the journey of African Tourism Board from humble beginnings, progressing from where we are today, it gives me great honor to be part of this organization and part of the supportive team that have rallied working tirelessly in shaping the direction of African Tourism Board. From the executive team, we have dispatched and supported our collective efforts. I salute you all, the head of the departments, our ambassadors, our chairs of committees, to our pathfinders who handed the battles to the wider audience of the African continent. We will always acknowledge and adore your dreams for a better Africa. Be assured, we will dispatch our duties with diligence and dedication without fear or favor. Elements, of course, will amount on our path with misconstrued ideas to fulfill their narrative that nothing can come out of Africa or nothing sustainable can be achieved by Black Africans. Most strongest terms in the weakness of in the witness of our audience here today, that this fallacy, this misconception has been perpetrated for decades by the colonizers should and will find no room for us. African Tourism Board is not a centralized organ to benefit a few. It is your organ, and I will do whatever it takes to ensure the inclusiveness is achieved for all of us. And this organization is managed by Africans, and from our founding members, we will stand together as a team. We have ran a good race, colleagues. Let us therefore stand together. The future is bright on the horizon. This is the time to put our indifferences aside and build brick by brick. Africa stand up proudly. And Africa, I plead, rise and shine. Colleagues from the global community, tourism unifies all of us to be a one big family. Let us all dispatch the best we have for the benefit of tourism and in supporting of this great initiative, the African Tourism Board. In my closing remarks, Dr. Taleb, you have dispatched your commitment to this organization without fail. We will always be indebted to your drive and unselfishness towards the travel sector. We are learning and walking in your footsteps as we celebrate this milestone. May I take this opportunity to say thank you, and thank you all our audience and all our participants. Thank you so much here again.
Thank you very much, Cuthbert. I forgot to mention one important thing. I made the announcement earlier. eTurbo News, as a sponsor of this event, is giving away three prizes, and they're very important. These prizes are meant for African companies, unfortunately, and for anyone who's actually here till the end. One is an advertising budget for $10,000 to be used in 2021, when we can hopefully build tourism again. The second prize is 2,500, and then the third prize is $1,000. How you can get this prize is very simple. Everyone who signed up here has a number. Right now, there are 511 people. We have numbers from 1 to 511. And with the speakers coming up, every speaker will just give us a random number. We're gonna write it down. So the number, I'm sorry, the number corresponds to the time they sign up. So the number every speaker needs to give us is a number between 0000 and 2400. At the end, if we get closest to the number, I'm sorry, not every speaker, but we have our VIPs. This is Cuthbert, who's not going to win the prize. This is Peter Tarlow at 00 and 2400, and those closest to the sign-up time will be announced at the end to win this prize. And I hope this is fair. Taleb and Cuthbert have no idea who it was, and I don't have any idea because we have to look it up. So I wanted, without further ado, I wanted to welcome now Dr. Taleb Rifai. He's joining us, I believe, from Spain. Welcome, Taleb. I think we may have lost him.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there is.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
there you are.
It's always good initiatives come from you, really, from Hawaii to Africa. I think that's a good message to resonate here. I want to thank my very good friend Alan also. Congratulate him. Alan, we all won, regardless of the results. You made us very proud when you ran for the presidency of Seychelles. We did not speak after that, but we're really, really grateful for you. You've raised our name up high. We're very proud of you. Cuthbert also, thank you so much for the good words you said. I can go on and on. Walter, Jeffrey, Peter, everybody here. Thank you so much all for being with us today. Now, I want to talk about two things. One is Africa in general, and the second one is ATB. Africa. What's Africa? Africa to me is my birthplace. I may not have the right color skin, I always say this. I may not have the right color eyes, but I'm African because we all are Africans. We all came out of Africa. Believe me, I mean what I say. We all came out of Africa. It's documented. It is a fact. So let's all not forget this. Now, Africa has not got its fair share throughout history. Europeans and Western world, and even some of the Eastern world, including my own world, the Arab world, have subjected Africa and African people to so many hardships throughout history. Until today, I have not heard anybody that has apologized for the record on the behalf of these centuries of slavery that Africans went through. I think the world owes that to Africa, because Africa is on the rise now. Africa will come back. I have no doubt about it. Future is Africa. I always believe in that. I said that to Jürgen when he first offered me and Cuthbert together to become the patron of ATB. I said that, and I really mean it.
É triste, sabe?
Sorry?
No, I think it's a culprit. Talib, I'm sorry, someone didn't mute themselves. So sorry
It's
about
okay.
that.
It's okay. It's okay. I thought Caspar was saying something. Okay. Caspar and Jürgen, I remember when you offered me to become the patron, I didn't hesitate for a minute because I believe in Africa. I truly believe. It's in my blood. It's in my system, my DNA. Africa is the future, without doubt. Now, as I said before, Africa has done the world a favor. The world has not paid back its debt to Africa. The world is all indebted to Africa now. And Africa is climbing up again. That's why what Jürgen said is very correct. We need to keep African destiny in the hands of Africans. People like Peter, myself, and Jürgen must step aside a bit and leave it for the Africans to run their show, because Africa has a lesson to teach the world, the whole world. Believe me, that's true. I truly mean that. Now, when the idea of ATB came up, I jumped on it. I said I'm ready to work in any capacity. They were kind enough to offer me the position of patron. Now, Africa Tourism Board today, as you heard from Jürgen and from Caspar, is passing through the very natural symptoms of growing up, becoming famous. We have done a lot of good work, all of us together, because we were all together, as Caspar said. But these pains of growing up, we cannot deny them. We need to be together in this. I will not give up on Africa. I will not give up on ATB. I'm saying this very clear and loud. I think this is a message that must be resonating to anybody. I'm ready to help in whichever capacity. Amen. I want to thank all of you once again. Happy birthday. I still remember that day in London, Jürgen, when you came and asked me to speak at your meeting. I spoke some words from the heart, as I did now. I believe in Africa. Let's all learn around Africa. Africa is something great. I had the honor and the privilege of visiting so many African countries, meeting so many of the good African people. And I'm very, very proud of it. Walter, I owe you particularly big debt. You know that. You know what I'm talking about. Walter, I'm very happy that you're with us. Thank you all so much. Thank you very much, everybody. See you.
Thank you, Talib. Much appreciated. Before I let you go, I didn't ask Cuthbert. We need 3 people to give me a 4-digit number. So give me a 4-digit number between 0 and 2400.
2399.
2399. Okay, 2399. Okay, now we're going from 2399 to our good friend Alain, who was also there from the very beginning, president of the African Tourism Board, joining us from beautiful Seychelles. Hi, Alain. Good morning, or good evening, I guess, where you are.
It's evening here, yes. Hi, Alain.
Yes, it is good evening. Welcome, everyone. And let me start by saying happy birthday to ATB. 2 years ago, when we met in London, a few of us together, the idea was to see what Africa can do for Africa. And that WTM event, small as it was, a few of us spearheaded this idea of coming together for the world to see Africa as one, and for Africa to see itself with a new vision and a new way forward, for us to be able to say, this is Africa. I'm reminded at times like this, must look at the spirit of that song that brought the world of football and the world at large into Africa. We must be able to stand together and look at us as the different 54 states of Africa and look how we can really solidify this working together that we should do. Yes, the road is long. And yes, the road will have a lot of potholes. Some of us will fall on the wayside, but we must stand firm with the one objective of working for Africa. We have everything from beach holidays to safaris, to mountains, to pyramids, you name it, to the waterfalls of Zimbabwe that I discovered with Minister Mzembe. We must be able to say to ourselves,
The people.
we have everything.
People of it.
But it is when we remain united together that we will be able to achieve for Africa what Africa needs us to achieve for itself. It won't come by itself. It is difficult. But if we remain convinced in the mission that was launched at WTM 2 years ago, and then at World Travel Market in Cape Town, where I took over the presidency of the organization, we will be able to say, yes, we were committed for Africa and we delivered for Africa. My wish is for us to continue to have in this community of nations where the world is one, to have people that are beyond our borders of Africa, to continue working with us. People like Jorgen, Jeffrey, Peter, all of us to come together. Because Taleb, I consider you from part of this great continent. So I don't mention you because you should be one of us. But the others, we need you to continue to work with us to grow Africa into what Africa needs to be. Together as one, we will achieve so much more for Africa. We must not be distracted as we celebrate the second anniversary. Distractions only puts us 2 steps back instead of moving 2 steps forward. Let us remain connected. Let us remain convinced that we need to work for Africa so that Africa can rewrite its own narrative and showcase to the world, especially in this very difficult time of COVID-19, that Africa is present, Africa has everything, and Africa is working to relaunch itself. Happy birthday to everyone.
Happy birthday. Thank you, Alain. And I also need a 4-digit number between 0 and 2400 from you, please.
2466. My birthday is on the 24th. And
unfortunately, that one, we have to do 0066 then.
Okay,
no, it cannot be
0066.
66. It has to be a time. Sorry, it wouldn't work like this. We need to have a also 2399. I'm going to change it, Taleb, if with your permission. I overlooked it to 2359. Remember what could be converted into a time. I'm so sorry.
Well, 0024.
0024 will work. Thank you very much. And without further ado, and we're going to get to those outside Africa, like Dr. Tarlow and Jeffrey in a minute, but I wanted to give the microphone, please, to a very good friend of mine who also has been there from the very beginning. He was the former Minister of Tourism from Zimbabwe. He was also the Foreign Minister of Zimbabwe, but is now living in South Africa and has been essential for the African Tourism Board for Project Hope, and he's always there. Thank you so much, Walter Memzeli.
Thank you again. In the beginning celebration on the consummation of the Africa Tourism Board should be a unifying force of the Africa we want to see in the tourism sector. The Bible, the Quran, and other books of faith are living legacies for human civilization, only insofar as they are able to give elaborate genealogy of their main actors, especially the tracing of lineages. We too, doesn't matter what we become or what Africa Tourism Board metamorphoses into the future, its genesis, its footprints, to where it is today, must be a matter of factual record. And those that inspired it, acknowledged and celebrated. So our historians here, but it also marks the beginning of our recommitment to nature, grow, and locate Africa Tourism Board correctly and strategically in the mind we have volunteered their precious time away from family and support. So in this regard, thank you. I must really thank Taleb and your frontier of networks who followed you into ATBS patron. To my African brothers and sisters led by Alan as president of the organization, Cuthbert as executive chairman, all of you who have volunteered your expertise, knowledge, and zeal in the pursuit of a new dawn in African tourism in the wake of COVID-19. Thank you for the goodwill and spirit of Ubuntu and African volunteerism. I conclude by thanking colleague ministers active and retired like me, Alan, and others who have lent their credibility to this great concept by associating with African tourism report. But of course, it will be remiss if I don't present the visionary of ATB, a great friend whom I have journeyed with in the last 5-6 years in my aspiration and journey to be the #1 civil servant at Captain High Street. And a journey I concluded honorably in September 2017 in Chengdu, China. So thank you, Yugen, for being there for me. But even more importantly, it's a great pleasure to be in the company of those that I associated with in the decade and became friends and family. And I see all of them here. Thank you so much and happy birthday, African Tourism Board.
Thank you very much. And you've been an inspiration, and you always bring wisdom into this organization. Thank you for that. We have a long list of people who wanted to address, and I wanted to just point out 3 more speakers. We want to give a little bit more than the 2 minutes we have for everyone else. And this is not a rating system here. I just was trying to get the microphone really first to those that have been with us for the last 2 years. And there are 2 more, I think, on this forum, or 3 more possibly. I cannot find the 3rd person, but I will announce her because I think I saw her earlier before we get to Peter Tarlow. It's the Honorable Minister Pratt from Sierra Leone. She was there also from the very first moment. I think I saw her before, but I cannot find her in this forum. So, Minister, if you're here, just kindly raise your hand, and we will give you the microphone anytime you come in. I don't see her, but I wanted to thank the minister anyway. She was the first one who said, and don't forget this, let's rally behind the African Tourism Board. And she what was really necessary for the next step for the African Tourism Board at that time. Now, I wanted to, before we get to Dima Katso, the ambassador chair for the African Tourism Board, and also co-chair for World Tourism Network, and he's always part of our organization. He's joining us from Texas, and Dr. Peter Tarlow, welcome.
Thank you, and congratulations to everyone. I know there are a lot of people who want to speak. This is supposed to be a birthday party. So one of the things I did is I went out today and I bought buy birthday cake because I couldn't share it with everyone. Instead, I bought 2 donuts to represent 2 years of African Tourism Board. I thought before I say a few words, that we all want to stop for a second and just think happy birthday to the African Tourism Board. So if you like, and I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but please join me in singing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday